podcast. Beautiful people, welcome to Beautiful People, the podcast. I'm here today with today's guest, someone who is so special to me and who I am so excited for you guys to get to know, Mrs. Bounce Casa Blanca, Amanda. So before we get into it, we got to cheers. So cheers for telling you about this podcast weeks ago and for now being here.
Yay!
Shooting the podcast. Yay!
Good choice.
I know. So good. So, Amanda, tell the people how we met.
All right.
Do
So
you remember?
I do.
Okay.
Actually, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I was new to the event industry.
Mm-hmm.
I just came up with my grand old plan that I was going to start New Jersey and New York's first white bounce house.
Okay.
Saw it on Pinterest. It was in the West Coast. The East Coast needs it. We need it. Now, I put in my order. Am I going to get something that's the size of my hand?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. I've never lifted a bounce house. I've only bounced in bounce houses. I know nothing about bounce houses.
Okay.
What else do I need to know about it? I know that these bounce houses are normally booked alongside with balloon artists.
Yep. Because they're very popular
So,
for kids' parties.
Not knowing anything of the industry, I said, I need to know how to do balloons.
I don't think I've ever asked you this, but how did you find how did you find me?
How did I find you? Oh, it was through a mutual friend that we have. You did your first workshop.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if it was your first
Okay.
workshop, but it was one of your first workshops.
Okay. Yes.
I saw that you did the class,
Okay.
and I slid into her DMs, and I asked, like, hey, what's the deal with this girl? Like, these balloons are so popping. And, I mean, like, I didn't know anything about balloons, so you could have been the worst balloon artist, and I'm like, oh, my God, I love these balloons. But I saw a little bit of the behind the scenes of the workshop, and it looked like something I wanted to be part of.
So, Amanda signed up to take a balloon class that I was hosting in Jersey.
Yes.
And funny enough, everybody's sitting down. It's like 30 girls. Everybody's excited. I'm nervous. We're ready to go. I'm like, oh, is everybody here? My students, okay. And I turn around. I'm starting to talk. And in comes Amanda with a big-ass bag, big-ass shades. And she's like, I'm sorry. I'm late. I'm supposed to be here. And I'm looking at her like, yeah, you're supposed to be here. I'm like, what's your name? And she's like, Amanda. And I'm like, okay, bitch, sit down.
Worst part about it is
Sit
that
down.
the space was small.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was small or that you just had a lot of people in your workshop. I think it was a little bit of both.
It was cozy. It was a cozy space.
But
yeah,
the tables were like
Yeah.
up to the door.
Yeah.
So when I opened the door, it's like, am I bumping into people? Like, I was just like, okay, this is awkward. Now I have to sit down and introduce myself.
I'm supposed to be here. And I'm like, okay. No, but
I apologize to everybody for being late, though.
You did. No. You did. But it was cool. I got to know you because your bounce houses are well known in this industry. Everybody books you. Everybody wants to book you. Everybody talks about you. And so, we got the opportunity to work together. And I think since that first time that we worked together, I was obsessed. I was obsessed with the product and the idea of the bounce house, the white bounce house. I didn't even know that those things existed, like the luxe version of them, like the ones that you have. And I was very intrigued, and I was like, "Damn, that's a good business plan. Like, wow, that's a good
I feel like when I was introducing myself, everybody there was either an event planner, a balloon artist, either already in their career as a balloon artist or getting started. But I was the only rental business.
Yeah.
And
I do remember that.
I
actually.
remember you saying like, "Oh," like you were like surprised, like,
That was
"Oh,
like, in my
I've
head.
seen them," and then you continue talking, but I feel like you got stuck a little bit, like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, because I don't think personally, I want to say that the first bounce house correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say that the first bounce house that I did balloons on was your bounce house.
Yeah.
I think
And
so.
if it wasn't, then we got a problem.
Oh
No,
my
I'm
God.
kidding. No, it was. It was.
Okay, so to me, it was like a genius. I like, damn, that's a good idea. It's like one of those moments where you're like, you're buying something at like Home Goods or something, and you're like, oh my God, this is a thing that people needed.
Yeah.
Damn, why didn't I invent this? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was like a good invention, or like a not an invention because you didn't invent it.
Right.
It's a good hustle.
Right.
Your marketing, the way that you style it, the way that you push it, I loved it. And the fact that you were smart enough to think, well, I have a bounce house business that people are gonna book for kids' birthday parties, right? Because these kids are the ones that are gonna want to jump.
Right.
I need to know about balloons. That was hella smart because you were thinking a step ahead.
It was smart. Looking back at it, I'm like,
well, yeah,
you know,
when you
when
all
you
the time because you should be doing your own balloons or your bounce houses, but you don't.
Well, that's why I have my Rolodex of amazing balloon
this is
artists.
true. I get it.
And you know, having a bounce house business is a lot of work. It's not just popping up a bounce house and leaving and coming back to pick it up.
That's a good point. So, tell me why, out of all of the things that you possibly could have done, why open up a bounce house business?
Honestly, they were just so pretty. Like, they were just so aesthetically pleasing.
I invested my money in something because it was so pretty.
Yeah, yes. Silly to say, but you know, when you want to have your kid's birthday somewhere, yes, you like to say you did it for your kids, but sometimes we do it for us. You know,
I think
like,
you know what? That's super valid.
And That's here not
valid.
to only make the kids happy, but to also make the parents happy and the guests happy. And honestly, you know, we live in a different world now.
Yes,
and
we do.
Especially after COVID, you know, it gave people so much time to be creative and just think outside the box. And you know, I just wanted to give people the blank canvas that they can do whatever they want with their theme. You know, like, it was so like against, like, I feel like society was like, no, you're not gonna have a Power Ranger party. Like, you're not gonna have this. You're gonna do something that's, you know, that's like more up to date, like Barney party. Like,
right.
I mean, I was obsessed with Barney.
Barney was my favorite.
You don't understand?
Yeah,
like obsessed. But like a Barney party with a red, blue, and yellow bounce house, it definitely looks like a party in the 80s or 90s, right? Or 90s, I should say. But a Barney party with a white bounce house,
sick.
Hey, yo, it's 2022.
Pinterest everywhere. Everywhere, all day, everywhere. All over
so like it just changes. And yes, you know, we're not your average bounce house, right? Yeah. So yes, we're gonna be a little bit more expensive, but you know, you get what you pay for. Yeah. You know, like, you want to invest. You want this Pinterest themed party.
People don't understand. People don't understand how much Pinterest
cost.
Well, yes, but how much Pinterest you get as a creative, as an artist? It's like, okay, what's your theme? What are your ideas? What color palettes are you looking for? What swatches? And they're like, Pinterest, yes. which is great. But it's like, we also have to keep in mind what it takes to get that Pinterest look, or to get what you see on Pinterest.
I constantly have to remind people that the bounce house does not come with palm trees.
Yes.
Because they're looking at white bounce houses, especially when I first started. There wasn't a lot to go based off of here in the East Coast. You know, we have different scenery than California.
That's true.
You know, or in Arizona or Texas. Like, in Arizona, you can plop a white bounce house in the middle of a desert, and it's like, oh my goodness. Stunning, like breathtaking. Yeah. Here, it's like, you know, you might see a fire escape in the back, you know, like, you might see a fire escape, you might see a fire truck, who knows? Like, there's just so many things that take.
Might see a pizza shop,
Yes. So sometimes, you know, we have to be realistic with our clients and let them know that, you know, yes, our bounce houses don't come with palm trees and desert stands, you know, that the fence in their backyard that has like vines all over it
Mm-hmm.
might look pretty or
Mm-hmm.
might not look pretty,
Right.
and
Or the backyard is not big enough.
right, right.
Because oh my gosh, haven't we had situations where we go in and it's like, yes, this is what we're doing. We're doing balloons coming from every angle, all the angles, from the floor, from the inside, from the sides, from the top. And then it's like, oh, but wait, the bounce house doesn't fit. We have to angle it this way.
There's a chandelier.
There's a chandelier, and the kids are going to jump and they're going to bang their heads with the chandelier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because truth be told, we are behind.
Mm-hmm.
In the East Coast, we are behind. Um, I feel like first is Europe, and then it's California, the West Coast, and then it's the East Coast.
Yeah.
So a lot of our venues are just now starting to
Take into consideration these things.
right.
Yeah.
And be more aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, and the weather.
Yeah, we have different battles.
We do. Yeah.
And I've just discussed this with companies on the West Coast. There's different animals that we have to deal with. There's temperatures. And different people. Honestly,
Yeah.
like no matter, obviously, people are different everywhere you go, but I don't know. Us tri-state people are a little rough.
So let me ask you, what would you say is the hardest part of having your own business?
That's a good question.
I know.
All right. The hardest part of having my own business is making sure I stay organized all across the board.
Yeah.
Not just with the business, but just making sure that everything aligns. I have a 12-year-old son. I have a 9 to 5. I'm in corporate life, which anybody that has ever worked corporate knows how demanding that is. And then, I can't really complain. I work from home, so I have a lot of flexibility, but
it's still a lot.
It's still demanding. And, I just want to make sure that I'm not failing in one of them. If I'm failing in one of them, then I'm not doing what I have to do. I need everything to be like green lights all across the board.
No, I hear you. You need it to flow.
Yeah. So I would say that that's the hardest part of running the business. Of course, having a bounce house business comes with, a Barney bag filled with stuff. Right. But it's worth it. It's worth it. I know that, like, for instance, when you and I work together, you go, you do your balloons, you're there for a couple hours, sometimes 5 hours, and then you leave. And you don't
ever. The beauty of the balloon business.
You don't ever have to see that venue again until your next event.
Yes.
But we have to stick around.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's great, when we're going to the Hamptons and we're like, you know what, like, let's make a day trip out of this. Let's make a weekend trip out of this. And we're hanging out in the Hamptons and we're going to the beach and, we're at the beach while we're making money. So that's when it's like amazing. Yeah. But when you have an event in Yonkers and then you have one in, down the shore, and then you have one in, in Whippany, New Jersey, like, you're in
what now?
Whippany.
Oh.
Yeah. It's Northwest.
Whippany. Okay.
We're not so far from it.
Okay.
But yeah, so like, when you're having multiple events in different areas, now you're hiring a bigger team. Right. You're trying to juggle, 3 events at the same time, hoping that you don't get a call from somebody that
there's no
something
traffic.
happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like there's a lot of, stressors, but it's worth it at the end. It's definitely rewarding knowing that I can sometimes drop off a bounce house and go to a 2-game tournament for my son. 3 towns over. I'm going to be a little late, but I'll make it,
Yeah.
And that's the main reason why I wanted to do a rental business like this, because I know I can drop it off. I can do what I have to do in between because I do work a 9 to 5, so my weekends are my everything. And just kind of, succeed in every aspect.
And kill it all the time.
Yeah, try.
Let me ask you, what is your what motivates you? Obviously, right? Everybody, you know, entrepreneurs, everybody that has their own hustle, their own business. We understand that money is a motivator, right?
Right.
So why do you have your own business? Well, because I want to be successful. I want to have money. I want to, make more money. But when you're in it and you're struggling, and let's say,
wait, keyword struggling.
yeah, right? Or you're in it, right? You have the logo, you have the T-shirt, you have the name. You're trying to book jobs to save up to make it, to pay for that LLC, right? Mm-hmm. You're in it, and you're like, all right, cool. I have everything, but nobody's calling.
Yeah.
Or like, there's 50,000 people with bounce houses in white, pink, yellow, green, orange, right? And you're like, shit. Like, wait a minute. Did I just make a mistake? Right? Mm-hmm. What is, or say everything is going great with your business, but then it's like, that's taking time away from your son. Right. Mom, why did you make it late to the game? Mom, you can't come to the game today. Mom, did you see the hit that I... No, because you weren't here. Right? So all of this, all that it takes to be successful, or to even just have a business, right? Mm-hmm. What is your motivation out of all of this? What would you say is the one thing that keeps you going?
It's very cliche, but it's my son.
It's not cliche. Girl, I'm a mom. I get it. Like,
yes, but I think for him and I, it's a little different.
Okay, and how
he
so?
He was the first and only person I knew about Bounce Casa Blanca for like a month. Okay. And it was hard because, I mean, I talk to my sister like 5 times a day, and we tell each other everything. And, she's been a big motivator in everything that I do in my life. So to not tell her something right away.
Why didn't you tell her?
Because it was almost like I was like protecting this little thing, right?
Protecting it from what?
From
people telling you, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
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 From people saying, a bounce house?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. And not to say that my sister will be that person.
Right.
But I did have somebody say that. And it was after, the month. And it wasn't that I'm going to wait a month before I tell people. I just wanted to feel comfortable in my own skin and in my decision, because let me tell you, I ordered that bounce house. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I didn't go to sleep until 5 in the morning, because I'm laying in bed and I'm like, holy shit, I just spent a lot of money and I don't know if this bounce house is going to come the size of my hand. I'm ordering from overseas. I've never ordered from overseas before. I've never, took the time to actually build something.
Right.
Because anybody can go online. Mm-hmm. You can go on Alibaba and buy whatever bounce house you want. But
what are you going to get?
Or
what are you going to do with it after you get it?
Exactly, yes. And so when I started, like I said, I didn't have anybody I can talk to. I had one bounce house company that was in the West Coast, that she's actually the one that brought the bounce houses to the States. Mm-hmm. I reached out to her, but guess what? I couldn't take her mentorship program because I spent my money taking a balloon class.
On me?
On you.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh,
so that's what I'm saying. That now I look back oh my shit, God. I'm not doing balloons, but I could have took that mentorship program. But those are the struggles that you go through when you're starting a business, right? But let me tell you how taking your balloon class did pay off. Okay. So I didn't take the mentorship program, so I don't know are my dimensions correct? Because I got a little risque and said, I'm not going to just submit an order. I'm going to design my own dimensions for my bounce house. I'm not just going to take what's in the catalog. I'm going to ask questions about the material, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to call this red, yellow, and blue bounce house company in my area and find out their material. And everything that there is to know about a red, blue, and yellow bounce house, because the only difference is the color. So I did that, and I was just like, you know what? I feel like I'm not comfortable enough yet to tell people. I feel like I didn't have a business plan yet. Mm-hmm. And without a business plan, I didn't want to tell anybody.
But a lot of people don't have a business plan.
I know.
I didn't have a business plan.
But I was just so, I guess the right word for it was, I was very insecure about my decision.
Yeah.
And
everybody is, though.
I know.
I have times where, like, great. Paper and fringe. Everybody knows beautiful people. Everybody's like, oh my God, beautiful. Ah, right. Okay, great. One of my struggles is every day. So I did all this. My family has done all this. We've done all this. Where am I taking this? What is next? Right? Mm-hmm. Because I always say, like that saying, you didn't come this far just to come this far.
Right.
So it's like, it's okay that you felt that way. Right. It's okay for you to wake up and say, yeah, I'm super established. I have a business on paper, in reality, that people recognize, but I still don't know what the hell I'm doing sometimes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's valid. Like, you have these companies that have HR departments and, right, like our regular jobs, right? Mm-hmm. They have multiple people doing multiple things to run this one thing.
Right.
Yet Bounce Casa Blanca is ran by Amanda.
Yeah.
If you don't post that post, it's not posting, right? It's not, nobody's seeing it.
I'm marketing, I'm HR.
Exactly, exactly. So it's like the beauty that's in the struggle is that you are supposed to feel like you're supposed to question it every day, I feel. Right. Or every so often in order for you to kind of reevaluate your progression, your goals. Is this what I really wanted to do when I started? Am I staying true to the original idea? Mm-hmm. Remembering what your motivation is, your son, right? And then just kind of saying, okay, so what's next? Like, what do I do next?
Are you about to ask me what's next?
What's next?
So I'm not gonna spill the beans. But there is something that I got in my back pocket, mm-hmm. and I'm definitely looking to expand Bounce Casa Blanca in other ways.
And I know what it is.
Yes,
because people don't realize that Amanda and I, like, they see us at installations, and they're like, "Oh my God, you guys know each other," and I'm like, "Yeah." Mm-hmm. When I did
family dinners,
do you remember when I did my my reveal, the reels that I did for my teeth? Because
yes. Actually, I just deleted a bunch of those videos because it was taking up too much space on my phone.
So people don't realize that you were in my house. You recorded the big reveal that everybody thought I was, like, I don't know, getting boobs done or something. I don't know what they thought I was doing, but it was actually my teeth. And Amanda comes over. I'm like, Amanda, I need to shoot content to, like, share about my teeth. And she's like, okay, I'm coming. What do I bring? Pizza. Okay, I'm bringing mimosas and pizza. And I'm like, well, okay. And here's Amanda. So people don't realize that you and I talk.
Right.
And we constantly, I think that's a really cool thing about our relationship. That we went from being a student and a teacher in a way, mm-hmm. to being like friends, like real friends.
Right.
That I call Amanda sometimes, and this is going to be out, like, I say my best ideas come when I'm on the toilet. Because I wake up, brush the teeth, sit on the toilet, and then I go, I'm starting a podcast, right? Yeah. And then I go, babe, Amanda, what do you think? So, like, you do the same, which I think is so cool. So
you're definitely my sounding board. Yeah, you too. And
for sure.
And push me in ways that sometimes you don't like to hear it, but you need to hear it from other people. Yeah. And honestly, it doesn't hold any weight unless I know that mm-hmm. you've done that, mm-hmm. you've been in that type of situation, or you're willing to be in that type of situation to get where you need to get.
I can't wait for them to see what it is, man, because it's big.
I'm so nervous. Like, just talking about it, my hands get
sweaty.
Like,
we were talking about it yesterday when I was doing dishes, and I was like, yo, what? So what are we doing this? And you're like, this is when we're doing it. And I'm like, dude, whatever you need, I'm there.
So, after this airs, I don't want to hear nobody asking me, so what is it? Because I'm not saying it. No. Literally, like, 4 people know. And the 4 people that do know are the people that play major parts in it. Yeah.
So excited.
But I want to ask you a question.
Oh, God. Okay.
All right.
Shoot.
Okay.
Shoot.
So you have all these projects going on.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, I do.
You have obviously your 9 to 5. Your mother, wife.
Yes.
and you have Casa Altagracia, NTR.
Casa Altagracia.
And then you also have your podcast now.
I have my podcast. I have a podcast.
Yeah.
I have a podcast.
Remember the toilet conversation?
I'm starting a podcast. Are you ready? What are you doing? What? I want to start a podcast.
Wait, time's out. Can we also talk about how many times she calls me for the same question?
Shut up. What is the question?
How do I dye my hair? It's on
not,
the box.
No, it's not how do I dye my hair. It's, Amanda, what's the amount of the developer that I have to put in the hair dye?
Yes.
Because Amanda used to do hair.
Yes.
Yes. But anyways, ask me the question. What questions do you have for me?
Okay. What is your plan on juggling it all?
What's my plan? Okay, so those who are like closest to me know that I have like this 5-year plan. And this is going to sound weird, but my husband retires, God willing, in the next 5 years. And I feel like the plan now is to do everything in our power to prepare us for that retirement. And what do I mean by that? We have 2 small children that we want to enjoy as much as we can. And we are trying to invest, to do things that are going to align for us to spend more time with them once he retires. So the plan is to move to Florida. The plan is for me not to have a 9 to 5, or for our businesses to be.
I'm on board with you. Besides Florida,
no, we're moving to Florida. So what do I
move into a nursing home?
No, dime. Eso no,
Nothing against Florida people.
Oh my God, no.
Nothing against Florida people.
So the plan is to do many things. But I feel like Paper and Fringe has allowed me to tap into many different areas of interest that I didn't even know I had. I've had a lot of things going on personally that have kind of challenged me in certain ways and have made me reflect on the way that I live my life. And now I'm trying to live intentionally as much as I can.
Would you say that you found yourself now in your 30s?
For sure.
More than ever.
1,000%. This year has been so good and so bad. This year I have realized so many things. I have my anxiety. A lot of people don't know, but I have anxiety. I get anxiety often. And my anxiety has been through the roof this year. I think I've been challenged mentally in such a way that I had to figure out what I wanted to do, and I had to put all my energy into it. The biggest thing for me is figuring out what's next. And I'm always reinventing myself, and I'm always trying to, right? So to answer your question, what is the plan? The plan is to do everything that I've ever wanted to do, to live my life with intention, to wake up every day and not think about, and this is going to sound super corny, but to wake up every day and not think about what I don't have, but to think about what I have, to explore anything I want to do, really. If I want to travel, let me travel. If I'm being responsible about my finances and my kids are good and my household is good, my husband's good, then we're going to travel. Mm-hmm. It's just, I'm turning 33 on January 3rd, and I am obsessed, and I am sure that 33 is going to be my golden year. And my motto for 33 is to live my life. However that is, whatever that means, that's what we're going to do.
Do it.
So that's the plan.
I heard you.
And
to the next one.
Drink a Contraclu so you know it's real.